What's up, everybody? Welcome to the newest episode of the Debate Mates. I'm Matthew, and today I'm joined again by Coach Z and by Jack, Tech Man. We got a whole squad here
Heck, man.
to discuss the craziness that was a couple of days ago, where we had one of the biggest superstars in the NBA get traded. So, a lot to discuss, but first, some Debate Mates news. We are going to change up the format that we've been doing our videos now. So, Monday, we're going to come out with a short 5 to 10 minute video called Monster Monday, where we're going to give you guys the top 5 stat lines of the past week. Tuesday, Time Machine Tuesday, another 5 to 10 minute video where we're going to revisit a famous player, a historic player, moment, team, shot, game, any historic NBA thing. We'll go back and revisit that. First topic is going to be how good was Tim Duncan, because he's a guy that gets lost in the shuffle a lot when you're talking about all-time greats. Is he underrated, overrated, or rated just right? I'll tell you that on Tuesday. Wednesday, we'll come at you with a normal Debate Mates video, just like the one you're going to see today. Thursday, Thunderous Thursday, top 10 dunks of the week. And then we'll finish it out on Friday with Fast Forward Friday, where we're going to look ahead to one game for each day for that upcoming week. I'll tell you who to look out for to have a big game. And, of course, I'll tell you who's going to win. So 4 videos, 5 to 10 minutes, easy to watch, quick to watch. And then we'll have the real video coming to you on Wednesday. So hopefully it should be fun. Make sure you're subscribed so you can see all the new content when it comes out. And follow us on Instagram as well to see little snippets of it, little teasers. And without further ado, let's get right into it with the James Harden trade bombshell. I'll read off the trade first, and then I'll go to Jack to see who he thought was the winner of the deal, or get a start at there. For the Nets, they received James Harden and a second-round pick. The Cavs got Jared Allen and Taurean Prince. The Pacers got Karis LeVert and a second-round pick. And the Rockets got Dante Exum, Rodion Kurucs, Victor Oladipo, and 8 first-round picks. So, Jack, do you have a winner for this trade, or what were your initial thoughts to seeing this?
I'd say, at least in the short term, the Nets are the winners. Long term, the Rockets. But for now, the Nets, for sure, are the winners. Because I definitely think – I don't think James Harden is going to have trouble taking kind of a backseat role, because he is – for the first time in a long time, he's not the best player on his team. Arguably not even the best scorer on the team. Probably not even their first option. I'd say Kevin Durant's a better scorer than him. But a lot of people are saying – I keep hearing, like, you got 3 ball-dominant players. I think KD and Kyrie have worked out just fine so far, so I don't know why people are still saying this. They're saying adding Harden to the mix is going to be a problem.
Wait, you said Kyrie plays for the Nets?
Kyrie plays for the Nets.
Oh, I thought he retired. I forgot.
Yeah, well, basically, I don't think that Harden's going to have trouble taking a back seat, because if Harden wanted to be that guy, he could have just stayed in Houston. But I think he could do that every season, drop 35, 7 and 7, or, whatever stat line he's putting up. He could do that over and over until he retires. But honestly, I think he's willing at this point. It's clear he wants to win a ring. And I think if he just wanted to be that guy, he wanted to be the main scorer, he would have stayed in Houston. But he didn't. So I think he's not going to have much of a problem kind of taking a backseat to KD and Kyrie and being, that second or third option for them.
Yeah, I think this is one of those rare trades where there is no loser. Every team made out really well. The Cavs just kind of came in there at the end and somehow got one of the best young centers in the league. The Pacers got a really good young guard in Karis LeVert, and also got rid of someone that maybe was a bit of a cancer to their locker room in Oladipo. The Rockets pick up Oladipo, a great young player, and get a bunch of first-round picks. And then, of course, the Nets come out with James Harden. I'm going to have to go with the Rockets as my winner, I think, just because Daryl Morey, when he was trading for all those big names in the past, the Dwight Howards, Chris Pauls, Russell Westbrooks, he gave up like every pick the Rockets had. And now, not only do they get a good young player, but they restocked on picks with 8 first-round picks.
You got 8 picks, yeah.
He really their GM did a great job of refilling that cabinet a little bit, because they were very bare from Daryl Morey. He left them with nothing, and the new GM came in and he got the job done. He got a good young player that will fit well with John Wall, I think. They got Christian Wood there too. That's a really good big 3. And, of course, the first-round picks is the cherry on top. Coach Z, what do you think?
I definitely, just looking at the scope from the beginning of the season, think that the Rockets are the winner, just strictly from like a organizational standpoint. When you have a player that obviously didn't want to be there, he's out clubbing and partying before the season. I don't know if you guys see the pregame video. Have you guys seen that on Twitter? When
What,
they
the one where
showed
he's like 350 pounds?
yes, and that's
Yeah.
actually him. I'm like, oh my god, you're so out of shape,
It's
dude.
Shaq,
And
bro.
I think like that last press conference when I knew it was a wrap, it was going to be traded, was when DeMarcus Cousins and John Wall pretty much just went off. Like, if you don't want to be here, you don't have to be here. We need everybody on the same page, everybody buying in. That's how you create a winner. And I guess from like Harden's mind is like, he has had MVP caliber seasons and did well and gave it everything he had, and that's not enough to compete. So he's kind of on that timeline where he's sick and tired and wants to be around some other superstars. So I just think Houston, from like a coach's standpoint, you got to get the cancer away. You load up on picks. I thought they were mega winners until now Oladipo says he wants to return back to the East. So are you just like short-term loaning Oladipo now for him to go to a different team? Him saying he doesn't want to play seems like a little hit off of the overall trade, but with the picks, I think they come out as the winners.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I just want Brooklyn to fail. I'm not a big fan of the super teams, and I don't know how it's going to work. I don't think it's going to be an issue with who is scoring. Like, everybody says that, but the bottom line is you have like the United States Olympic team, like 3 starters on one team, and it's going to be so much easier for them to score because if somebody gets doubled or somebody's hot, they just take over the ball, and you have to rely less on just yourself being a superstar. You can rely on others. So I think they're going to do exceptionally well. I just don't want them to.
Yeah, that was what I was going to ask you guys. Does this make the Nets, in your minds, are they a lock to make the finals with this roster they currently have?
If they don't, it would be a huge disappointment, right?
Yeah,
I think their aspirations now are championship or bust.
Right.
Like when you have 3 Hall of Famers on one team, even though you're starting a little bit late and you don't make the finals, even I say if you don't win the championship, to me that would be a bust season. I think they would all be disappointed.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it would be a huge disappointment if they lost the finals, just because I don't think they're in kind of another league above say the Lakers. I think they're better than the Lakers, but I don't think it would be that crazy if they got, edged out 4-3 or 4-2. But yeah, I mean, I think they're all but a lock to make the finals unless there's some kind of injury. KD goes down again, or I don't know, maybe.
Whoa.
Unless one of their big 3 gets injured, I'd say they're pretty much a lock. 95% that make the finals.
And Swanee, can I jump in and just add? The one concern I have is their depth. I think DeAndre Jordan is at the end of his road. He lost his position to Jarrett Allen. Like, Jarrett Allen became the starter. He looked young and promising, and DeAndre Jordan really wasn't doing much for the stat. Now he's the only center on their roster. Like, how effective will he be with significant minutes? They already lost Dinwiddie to injury, and now one of your best, like, role player guys, Karis LeVert, is traded. I don't know.
I don't know. I think they'll be all right.
Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. Wait. When is Dinwiddie supposed to be playing again?
He's out.
He'll be
he's
healthy
out for the whole
next
season.
hopefully.
Whole season?
Yeah.
But the thing that concerns me about this team is they are built to destroy, the Wizards, the Hawks, teams like that just want to outscore you. When they've come against those teams, they're going to kill them. But when they go against a team like the Lakers or the Bucks, maybe even Philadelphia, teams that can score every time they get the ball and can also hold you to 110, 115 on poor shooting, that's where I think this team will struggle a lot because they can't stop LeBron or the Lakers. They can't stop Embiid. They don't have anybody on the roster that can. They can't even stop Nikola Jokic or Paul George or Kawhi if they were to come up against them in the finals. It's just and then Giannis, too. That's a guy they're probably going to have to face in the conference finals or semis, depending on where they finish in the rankings. Kevin Durant, I love him. He's the best offensive player in the league. He's probably the second best player in the league. Some would argue the first, but, we're not going to discuss that here. But he can't guard Giannis. Jarrett Allen was their best chance at stopping a guy like Giannis in a 7-game series. He's gone now. DeAndre Jordan has no chance. Jeff Green has no chance. So I'm a little concerned on the defensive end of the floor, but maybe am I overthinking it a little bit? Are these guys just not going to be able to be stopped by anybody? Because that's the thing that concerns me.
I think the offense is going to be darn near impossible to stop. I mean, Kyrie obviously a really streaky scorer. Kevin Durant just so consistent, and then Harden and Kyrie. You never know. Anyone on any given night in that lineup out of those three could drop 40 plus. And I think too on the defensive end, in terms of Giannis in the playoffs, I mean, at this point, Giannis is a playoff choker. I think we pretty much know at this point. The way you stop Giannis in the playoffs isn't by guarding really well. You just close off the lane. If you plug the lane and let him shoot, that's how you stop him. And with guys like LeBron, I think that that's a decent point, and that's why I think that while I think that they probably would beat the Lakers, I don't think the Lakers would make it easy. I don't think that Giannis is going to be that much of a problem for them, honestly, come playoff time. I don't think Giannis is a problem for really anybody come playoff time.
Well, when you look at teams that have stopped Giannis, though, it's not like he's just getting stopped because these teams have put people in the paint. The teams that don't have those outstanding defenders, like, your Magic, he's run through them. It's until he faces
don't remind
teams.
Me.
It's till he faces teams like the Raptors that had Kawhi, Siakam, Gasol, Ibaka, 4 long, good defenders. Same thing with the Heat, Bam Adebayo, Jimmy Butler.
I do think Kevin Durant is an underrated defender, though. Honestly, I don't think he's going to stop Giannis. But I think there have been a few years where Kevin Durant, probably could have been all defensive, maybe second or third team. I mean, I'm not sure if he's made any all defensive teams, but he's a solid defender. I remember there was one year where he was like in contention for defensive player of the year. I think it might have been 2017-18 season.
Yeah, it was when Draymond Green said he should have won defensive player of the year.
Yeah, he was good.
Right, yeah. He's good. He's a good defender, especially as he gets, just gets more back into rhythm and back into the flow of the NBA season. I don't think he's going to stop Giannis, but I think he'll do a fine job. I don't see Giannis really, I don't see them running like whoever offense on KD.
And then I have another question for you guys. If Kyrie Irving is playing, do the Nets rush to make this deal, or is this kind of insurance in case Kyrie goes AWOL again later in the season and decides he doesn't want to play anymore? Like, if he's there and the Nets are maybe 3 games over 500 instead of just 1, and KD and Kyrie are looking like the duo we thought they were going to be, do they even do this trade?
I think you're just hedging your bet. I mean, it's definitely like the value that you have to like throw back at them to do it, but it's definitely like, hey, we have Kyrie and Durant. Durant has maybe 3-4 prime years left. If we're going to win a championship and multiple championship and we have this piece, we're just hedging the bet and we're going all in, and it's going to give us the best chance to do it. So I think if they start off undefeated, maybe they wouldn't trade it because it's like, hey, everything's working, don't mess it up. But kind of like their rocky start, it's kind of like a hovering 500 team or so. You're just going to add that. And just to add for that previous question, I mean, these guys individually are 3 of the best offensive talent in the last decade. Like, I would say 3 out of the top 5, definitely 3 out of the top 10. And they were so difficult to stop when they were on their own teams in their respective rights. When you add them together, I don't know. Offensively, I think they're going to be unstoppable. I think the question is, how do you score your points? Is it a lot of isolation ball that's maybe easier to defend, easier to double team? Or do you actually score your buckets involving like plays and incorporating the whole team? Because you will see 80 to 90 points every night from those 3 guys. One guy's going to have 35, one guy's going to have 25, one guy's going to have another 25, 20. You're going to get your 80 to 90 points from that. To win an NBA game, you need 110 points on average. You'll win most of your games. So like the other 20 points that they need each night, or the other 25, that's when you have like plays. I always think of like the Spurs offense. Doesn't matter who you are, that ball is being rotated. You have your open look. So if they run their offense like that, I think they're going to just be really, really difficult.
Mm-hmm. They need to make sure Joe Harris doesn't get lost in the shuffle, I think, because he is a very important piece for them. He's one of the best shooters in the league, and they can't let him just be turned into a spot-up shooter in the corner. They have to make sure they're still involving him running around screens, even if he's just a decoy. They have to make sure that they're getting him shots and that he is not just standing in the corner every possession while he watches everybody else go ISO.
But Oh no, I'm just saying, but he has been pretty phenomenal this season. I mean, he's averaging like 15 points a game. So I think to have the floors like spaced out, to have a shooter like that can knock down like 2 to 3 trays a game and stuff is just a huge asset. But yeah, I agree with you completely.
Yeah, and then I have a proposed trade if you guys want to hear it.
Yeah, let's hear that.
I am not the biggest Kyrie fan, and if he's not going to stick around, you might as well get some assets for him. So, you guys know that I love Kyle Lowry. He's one of my favorite players in the NBA. What are we thinking about? And obviously, you wouldn't rush this trade. You want to see how they come together. But if they start out bad, they're not playing any defense, get the Nets some heart. Get Kyle Lowry for Kyrie. Obviously, the Raptors would have to throw in a couple picks to make it work. Probably another bench player like a Matt Thomas type of guy. But, the Raptors are struggling. Maybe Kyle Lowry wants to ride off onto the sunset with a team where he doesn't have to shoot 10 to 15 times a game or, be the number one offensive threat. And maybe the Raptors want to give Siakam and Chris Boucher more time to grow into their roles. And we've seen the Raptors are no stranger to trading for disgruntled superstars like Kawhi when he wouldn't play with the Spurs, like Kyrie when he won't play with the Nets. And they're not afraid to trade away a fan favorite. So what do you guys think about that trade? I don't think it will happen at all. I don't think the Nets would do it. I don't think the Raptors would do it. I don't think they're even thinking about it. Yeah. But if that were to happen, what would you think? And do you think these teams should be thinking about that in the back of their mind?
I don't know. I mean, I don't think that's a terrible trade for either team. I mean, the Nets could use a defender, I guess, at the guard position. But there aren't really that many great guards in the East. Come finals time maybe, but you'd be facing the Lakers. I don't know. I don't think that would be a terrible trade for either team, but I don't see either of them doing it. And I don't know. I kind of feel indifferent to it, to be honest.
Yeah, I think that just Kyrie is just he's too unstable for any GM to want to trade for him.
It's a real gamble with Kyrie.
Huge gamble. I mean, from the Cleveland days to Boston to now with the Nets, it's always this uncertainty that surrounds him,
it's
like this cloud that I wouldn't even really want that. I don't know. I know Toronto has started off, pretty poor this year by their standards. To be like the third last place team in the East is pretty bad. But I don't think Kyrie really changes that if you get rid of Lowry. I think Lowry makes that team better because he's more of a facilitator. He gets more assists versus Kyrie's never been a big assist guy for a point guard. So I don't know. I'm thinking if I'm in Coach Z GM role, I don't want to touch Kyrie with the 10-foot pole. I don't want anything to do with him. Mm-hmm. I think he's kind of selfish. I think his basketball is not his number one priority, and it's a team sport, and you have to be all in to win in the NBA. So.
Yeah, I think too with Kyrie, we don't know what he isn't out for personal reasons or something, but he hasn't told anybody what it is.
Well, he's been out for personal reasons, hasn't told anybody what it is, and then he was seen partying with his sister.
Right. So, I mean, I don't know. That could be a number of things. You really never know with Kyrie. So it could be that it has nothing to do with basketball, and it's maybe not even necessarily that he's, disgruntled with the Nets organization. That's the thing with Kyrie Irving. He's so, I don't know. But you know what? On a tangent, I just have to ask, where did this come from? This Kyrie Irving? He was not like this in Cleveland.
Yeah, I don't know.
Was LeBron keeping him tethered down to what happened?
I don't know. There's a lot when you're young in any profession, I feel like you put your best face forward, but you're also allowed to change your mind and you're allowed to change your personality as you grow. So young guy in the league, budding star, you're a yes sir, yes ma'am type of guy. But as you grow more comfortable with your role, you have financial security, you have superstardom security, and you have a title, you become emboldened to act and do what you think and what you want. And a lot of players' lives have actually kind of taken this, although they don't always as erratic as Kyrie. But there were a lot of stories in Cleveland where, to sum it up, he was a weird guy. He was not your typical
very weird guy.
Yeah,
well, I mean, and and this is I see what you mean about, you see a lot of young people as they bloom into, fame and stardom, they have issues with, they get into trouble with law enforcement, or maybe they have some kind of substance issue. But I've never seen instead of that, kind of problem where they start becoming like conspiracy theorists, like Illuminati, flat earthers. It's just so everything started going downhill since he said he believed in the flat earth. That's
Well,
all.
he doesn't anymore. We always bring this up.
Well, so he says.
It was 4 or 5 years ago.
Well, now he knows for sure it's the flat Earth, and since he knows, he doesn't want to get other people involved.
The Flat Mars Society. Let's go.
Like, yeah, the Earth is flat, but I don't want anybody else to know my secret.
Yeah, I just, me and Matthew.
But look at the persona of like Kevin Durant. When he first came in the league, he was a golden boy, all smiles.
Hey, Coach Zia, don't make me mute you. Don't make.
No, I'm saying very, very respectful to the media. And then as you become emboldened in your career, you kind of take on I'm not going to say villain. He's not a villain, but you kind of take on this persona where like you can be a little snippy, man.
Yeah, I mean, Durant got a little bit, he was a little sassy, but he never, like, I don't know, he never just, like, sat out 15 games because he's like, I don't feel like playing basketball.
Well, the last time we were here, they could be a deeper issue. Like, a few of the players have talked about their mental health struggles. So
right. That's
the red flag to me is like when nobody knows, when your coach doesn't know, it's like you keep those things secretive because you are shameful of things. But I really think it ties in with the social justice thing. As soon as the riots on the Capitol happened, that's when he like checks out completely. He was very outspoken about not wanting players to return to the bubble because there's bigger things in society.
Right,
so
yeah.
I feel like maybe that's what's going on. But then I also feel as a professional, you can do that. That's fine. But if you're on a contract to play your job and help your teammates, don't let them down. Like communicate with them, let them know, and then, I mean, choose one way or the other. I
just wish, even if it's for the Capitol, for like as a protest, if it's not, if he just wants to party, I just wish he would come out and like say, you know what, this is what I'm doing.
The thing. Like if it's a protest, why talk in riddles about it? Be open about it. Isn't that the point? I mean.
Yeah, I don't know. He said that the media twists everything he says, so he wants to be like.
Well, I mean that's true, but I mean everyone knows that, and none of the other players have a problem with it. I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah, and they said that most likely it's because of his sister and his dad have the same birthday. So the personal reasons and all the videos that appeared were them celebrating his sister's birthday. And maybe
why wouldn't he just say sister's birthday? Personal reasons
because
makes it sound like
not
a death
excuse.
in the family or something.
I don't know. I just think that maybe he's at a point of his life where he realizes his family's more important than $30 million a year of basketball.
Well, he shouldn't agree to the contract.
Yeah, like Stephen A. Smith said, if you don't want to play, then don't play. You don't have to play, but you shouldn't hold this over your teammates. You know, they're getting asked every night, what's going on with Kyrie? Have you talked to Kyrie? If you aren't into the team and you don't want to play, if you know that family's more important to you and you don't want to play anymore, you want to spend all your time with them, instead of putting that burden on your teammates, come out and say, you know what, I think it's more important that I'm with family right now. So
you just know that back in like middle and high school, Kyrie Irving was the one dude in the friend group who was always causing some drama. Every day he'd get mad about something. All the other friends got to go ask him, like, did you hear what happened to Kyrie? They were, you know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. I think that is. I mean, that's superstardom. I mean. I feel like as an organization, you got to like hold someone's feet to the fire. I mean, you may lose him, but he's right now causing more damage than he is good to your organization. You're just hoping to salvage it. But Kyrie wants to do what he wants to do. He wants the benefits of both worlds.
Yeah, it's only going to be so much longer before teams start to recognize that really the cons of having Kyrie on your team might outweigh the benefits, because when he was coming out of Cleveland, nobody was really thinking about any of this. He was a relatively normal guy, and he was one of the best point guards in the league. Some people, coming off of that season when they won the chip, I mean, a lot of people were saying he might be top point guard in the league, top 3-point guard in the league. But now, and then after the situation with Boston, it was like, okay, well, I mean, maybe he was a little maybe he was toxic, but he's still like a top point guard. But now he's here in Brooklyn, and he's still doing the same stuff that he was doing with Boston. And he's like, your superstar title is going to start to mean nothing if you don't, get it together and start proving that you're actually – because when he's not playing, it's just a roster spot wasted. Like, you've got 13 to 15, spots on your team, and that's just a slot taken up that, I don't know. I just think he kind of needs to get it together before people realize that he might be more of a burden than he's worth.
Yeah, I agree with that. And then I did want to ask you guys about this because Coach Z brought up Kevin Durant. A lot of the LeBron fanboys have been going crazy on social media that Kevin Durant needs a super team. He's afraid of LeBron.
Oh my gosh, that annoys me so bad.
Can we get mad at Kevin Durant for this? Because I don't see how we can.
He's not the GM. He's not the GM. You can't get mad at KD. It wasn't his decision.
And it's not like he built this team. Like, if this were the Cleveland days when it's just LeBron against the world, like even then, LeBron had a pretty good roster. You know, it wasn't an all-star caliber roster, but it was still a pretty good roster. He still had Kevin Love, Tristan Thompson, guys like that. But it's not like he's just building to defeat LeBron and a bunch of scrubs. They need to beat LeBron, Anthony Davis, another top 5 player in the world, plus a whole roster filled of guys that just play their role incredibly well. 2 Sixth Men of the Year candidates that both play, you know, similar to an all-star level, have an all-star level game, I think, and Schroeder and Montrezl Harrell.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's not like LeBron is the innocent one anymore like he was with Cleveland where we could say, oh, poor LeBron, he's got no help. Everybody wants to gang up on him. That narrative is so annoying.
I think, too, and they always joke like, oh, man, LeBron lives in these guys' heads rent-free. LeBron lives in your head rent-free. Nobody in the league can do anything to benefit their team without LeBron fanboys saying, oh, they're just doing it to take down LeBron. But, yeah, they're doing it to take down LeBron. The guy's good at basketball. What do you want them to do? No, sorry, I don't want to make my team better because that makes it look like I'm trying to beat LeBron. Yeah, you're trying to beat LeBron. That's not embarrassing. Yeah. He's debatably the best player of all time. And I don't know. And it's not personal. It's not even like it's LeBron. Like, if it were any other player in LeBron's position, they wouldn't be saying, like, oh, you're doing this to take down, you know, player X, Y, and Z. It's not about LeBron. It's just they've got a really good team.
You're saying, of course you're going to try to beat LeBron. He's great. He's one of the best.
Where's the harm in that? Yeah.
And how come when LeBron joins AD, it's not like, uh-oh, he can't beat Steph. He's afraid of Steph Curry. Can't beat Kawhi. Afraid of Kawhi Leonard. Can't beat Giannis.
I'd be afraid of Steph Curry and Kawhi Leonard. They're good.
I know. I don't know. It just irritates me how every narrative has to involve LeBron in some way.
Plus Lakers fans are the same. And I don't want to like generalize Lakers fans.
No, generalize Lakers fans and make sure you include.
All right, you know what? But I'll generalize Lakers fans.
In debate mates, we go for hot takes. This isn't even a hot take. Everyone knows this who's not a Lakers fan. Everyone who's not brainwashed like them. I tell you, it's only ever them doing this dance every offseason where they look at every major superstar who could possibly be traded or who's a free agent in some capacity, saying he or she's going to come to the Lakers. He or she's going to come. And I guarantee you,
what they were doing. I don't think any she's are coming to the Lakers, Jack. Normally they don't.
Did I say she? Oh, did I say she?
Yeah.
All right. You never know. You know what? They'd probably do that too because they think everyone's coming to the Lakers. No, but I guarantee they did the same thing with Harden. They did it with AD, obviously. Well, they got AD. They did it with Paul George. They did it with Kawhi. They try to land every single superstar.
Well, yeah, and it was okay when they wanted.
And it was okay when they did it, and they would not have complained if they had gotten James Harden. Yet, as soon as a superstar falls to any other team, they love to fall back on this little like throwaway line. Oh, you're doing anything you can to beat a 36-year-old LeBron.
And Kawhi, they were recruiting Kawhi so hard to come to the Lakers.
I know. Yeah. And then Paul George and AD and all the superstars, really.
Yeah.
Giannis.
And the other night, the thing that irritated me with this LeBron narrative, so he hits the three and he looks back at the Rockets bench. You guys have seen the highlight probably 1,000 times.
That was great.
The thing where everyone's saying, like, they saw this and they decided to get James Harden.
Well, that was the first story on the NBA channel, even though Kevin Durant went on like a 16-0 run in the third quarter to pull the Nets back to beat the Nuggets and passed Dwayne Wade and Elgin Baylor on the all-time scoring list. And I can't remember. There was another great game that night. I can't remember what it was, but it was higher than that story as well. I just don't – it's like anything he does.
Let's be real. Everyone knows ESPN are just cheerleaders for LeBron. I've always thought, like, ESPN – the NBA's Instagram account, all the major sports outlets who cover, you know, primarily basketball or they cover largely basketball, they have like their toys. They're like 6-year-olds, right? Like they're like 6-year-olds. They get like a new toy every month that briefly becomes like the spotlight. Like they had Steph Curry and then they had guys like they had Zion and now they've kind of gotten rid of Zion. They're into LaMelo now. But at the end of the day, they always have that one like old sentimental blanket or teddy bear to fall back on that they all kind of like more than the others. They just briefly get enamored by the new ones. And for them, that's LeBron. LeBron is always their fallback option whenever they need a highlight reel. Post what LeBron ate for breakfast.
Yeah, I mean,
It sounds like I'm slandering LeBron. I'm really not. It's just his fans. They're just, oh man.
I
Oh
know
my
he's
gosh.
a great basketball. He's one of the best basketball players of all time. As a basketball player, there's not really anything bad I can say about him. His fans make him.
I respect him a lot as a
dislike.
player and a person, but like his fans and the Lakers. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we could go on and slander the Lakers for the rest of this video, but we need.
And it'd be fun, but you know.
Before I get too emotionally charged up and
same.
punch a hole through my computer screen. So we talked a lot about the Nets. Let's move on to the Indiana Pacers, who kind of flew under the radar here. Do you think Karis LeVert has all-star potential in Indiana?
Yeah, I mean, I could start with that. I think he's been a really young, promising, talented player. When they played in the bubble without Kyrie, he shined to me. In games where Kyrie was sitting or Durant was sitting, he's looked like an all-star. For him, I think Indiana has more depth than Brooklyn. It's almost like you're going to have to share even more touches, and you had more opportunity with Dinwiddie being out in Brooklyn and being like the third role to Durant and Irving before the trade because, man, Sabonis is tearing it up. Malcolm Brogdon, I apologize. I know you said fringe all-star. He's an all-star. He's not fringe. He's an all-star. Like, he's been outstanding this season. Miles Turner had like a 25-point game last night. It just seems like they have a lot of role players that take, 8 to 10 shots. So I don't know if he's going to have the availability to carve himself in like a super meaningful role, but I think it's a great franchise to be a part of. He has a chance to be a really good winner.
He could be probably their second best player, I think, honestly.
I think Sabonis top tier 1 and Brogdon 2. Like that is like.
I could see Karis LeVert being better than Malcolm Brogdon. I don't know. It really just depends on. I think Malcolm Brogdon fits really well in that role with the Pacers. So I guess it just depends on how well he kind of meshes with them, Karis LeVert.
Do they have the most well-rounded starting five when everybody's healthy? Brogdon, LeVert, T.J. Warren, Sabonis, and Miles Turner. I don't think they don't have the most talented starting five, but could they be in the argument for best starting five just because there are no weaknesses?
Yeah, I say law of averages. It's outstanding. I mean,
we're talking when the whole league is healthy.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they compete with
Golden State. Might have the best starting five when everyone's healthy.
No. Oh, you mean
with Clay?
Okay, you're adding Clay. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you add Clay, that Clown Town show that they're putting.
For sure.
Yeah, you know this. I loved the Pacers even in the preseason when we did our first episode about the playoffs. I just think they're a really solid team, and Sabonis has played better than I thought he would. He's an all-star candidate. He's an MVP candidate right now. If the season were to end today, he would probably win it or be a top 3 or 4.
Jokic would win it and probably rightfully so.
Joker's been great this season.
Yeah.
But this is the season of the passing big men. We got Sabonis and Joker dominating the league.
Yeah, and Vucevic gets assists as well for Orlando.
Yeah, Jack could go on and on about Vucevic.
Yeah.
No, I couldn't. I'm actually not a huge fan. He's our only good player, but I don't think there's anything too special about him. He's just like, all right, he'll be gone in 2 years, and.
I think, and we're forgetting the T.J. Warren that had the plantar fasciitis and then he had the stress fracture.
That's right.
Like, he's the guy that gets 15, 16 points too. So if you talk about law of averages, 1 through 5, which are overall average, I think it has to be the Pacers.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
You think
they legit have a potential all-star for every single one of those positions.
Well, that might be stretching it a little
far.
Well,
I mean, not with Miles Turner, but with everyone else, I'd say, pretty much.
Well, I say Miles Turner just leading the league in blocks. Like, he is a front runner for Defensive Player of the Year now. I mean, it's unreal. He's getting over 4 blocks a game. That hasn't been seen in, like, the last decade. It's crazy.
So their starting lineup would be what? Brogdon, LeVert, T.J. Warren, Sabonis, and Miles Turner?
Yeah.
That is like that'd be a 4 all-star team potentially, but that'd be like when the Hawks had 4 all-stars. It's like 4 all-stars, but
I don't know. I talk about from like a fantasy perspective. Like Brogdon is top 10 right now, top 10 player. Sabonis is top 20. Turner is top 12 because of his blocks. Oladipo was top 50 before he got traded. Now LeVert goes into that role, and T.J. Warren was top 50. So I don't know. They're putting up some awesome stats just from a statistical standpoint. And they're winning. Like, let's not say, oh yeah, they have these fluff stats and they're not doing anything about it. They're winning games.
So assuming they're all healthy come playoff time, could they upset the 76ers or the Celtics or top team like that?
Yes. And the Nets.
Ooh, that might be stretching.
Well, I mean, they could.
I don't know, man. They will score. They're better, so much better defensively than the Nets. James Harden, Irving, never known for their defense. Now you have Brogdon and Turner, and Sabonis plays good defense. And I mean, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, playoffs are all about defense. I think if I had to put them as like a tier, you got your Eastern Conference tiers. You got at the top, you've got like Nets and Bucks, really. And I guess maybe
surprisingly
maybe
the
Heat in
Celtics.
there. Maybe with a healthy starting lineup, with a healthy roster. I say they are not really in contention with the Nets or with the Nets or maybe you could put Bucks and Heat in that category. With the exception of some miracle, like maybe Jimmy Butler gets injured or one of the star players for one of those other teams gets injured. But I'd say they're on par with teams like Sixers, Raptors, Celtics, maybe. I think they could definitely be, top 3 to 5 seed. And I think I don't think they're finals bound, but I think that they could make the Eastern Conference Finals when healthy. They're definitely a well-rounded roster.
I think they're better than the Heat. I'm going to be honest. I came in at the start of the season. I was telling you guys, don't put the Heat top 3. Don't put the Heat top 4. They're not the same team they were last year. They don't have Jay Crowder anymore. And he was a big part of their roster.
I just think they need a superstar. They have a whole bunch of really good players, but they don't have a superstar. And I think what?
Pacers or the Heat?
The Pacers.
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, I would not be surprised if they went. I'd be very surprised if they made it to the finals or won the chip.
Well, yeah, I'm not saying anything like that.
I don't think anyone thinks it, but I wouldn't be that surprised if they maybe made it to the Eastern Conference Finals and got edged out by the Nets or something.
I think a part of it, though, is like the analogy you gave earlier about your favorite toy. I think us as basketball fans are kind of conditioned to have our biases versus bigger market teams, and it's sad for Indiana. They're just small market, not a lot of TV exposure. You don't talk about them. I was fortunate to watch almost all their games. I bit the bullet and I bought League Pass so I can just watch as many games as possible, and they're legit, man. They are a good overall team. They beat Boston earlier this year. They're fourth. They're ranked fourth right now. I mean, and had a pretty tough schedule. I know it's so much like inconsistency with who's playing what and what teams are postponed and stuff, so your standings are off a bit. But I think they'll be in that conversation for Eastern Conference Finals to compete to make it to the finals.
All right, let's talk about the Rockets here, and then I'm going to ask you one last question, and we'll call it there. But Rockets, like I said, got Exum, Radiant Karuks, the big star of the deal. They got Oladipo and a bunch of first-round picks. Are you happy that they went with this route rather than settling for a Ben Simmons?
Yes, I am. I mean, if you're a Rockets fan, I really don't think you want Ben Simmons. I'm going to be honest. I'm not big on Ben Simmons. I've never liked Ben Simmons that much, so maybe I have a little bit of bias.
I saw a tweet earlier that said that Ben Simmons is just an Australian Draymond Green. As a Warriors fan, do you think that's a fair comparison?
I would love to have Ben Simmons over. I don't know. Draymond, they're different. I mean, different positions, but Ben Simmons having a good year this year. I think he just needs a lot of shooters around him, and he's not going to be one to carry your roster to a championship. Sorry to cut you off, Tech Man.
No, you're good.
I agree with you. I'm not building my franchise around Ben Simmons. I'm building it around Embiid. So if he was the piece to leave, I think it works well in 76ers land now, though.
Yeah, I think Harden would have been a decent fit with the Sixers, but I don't think that Ben Simmons would have done much for the Rockets, and I really don't think that's a good – honestly, the fact that they just got something good out of it, I think that they're winners to an extent, at least in the long term, because – he would have walked eventually if they didn't put something up, or he just would have straight up just stopped playing. I mean, those were their two. You got to get rid of him while he's still got a lot of value. And so I think, they still got some solid players on their team. They still got Harden, or excuse me, no, they don't have Harden. They got Wall and Cousins, and They got some solid
Christian
players on the team.
Wood.
Christian Wood,
the
yeah,
truth.
Christian Wood's been playing great.
Yeah.
But
I just think what was I gonna say? Okay, I think it's smart that they didn't go, because obviously we would all agree that Ben Simmons is better than Victor Oladipo, and if they had gone with a route like that, then they wouldn't have 8 first-round picks. They probably would have gotten 1 to 2, or maybe just Ben Simmons and some role players. So even though Victor Oladipo was a lesser player, as Jack looks like he's like sick or ailing. I think
it's the lighting. I think it's the lighting. It makes me look very pale right now.
So, anyways, I think it was smart that they went this route, even though they're getting somebody that's a little bit worse than maybe a Jaylen Brown if they could have gotten him, or Ben.
Oh, Jaylen Brown is awesome.
They still got
him go.
An all-star caliber player while getting a ton of first-round picks. So I think they did a great job here.
I'd say they're in the same boat kind of as OKC right now, but they've got a better immediate lineup. Because they've got – who are they running at point?
John Wall.
I'm stupid. Yeah, John Wall. Because they've got a lineup right now of John Wall, Victor Oladipo, whoever they got at 3.
Trade already.
Yeah, Christian Wood and DeMarcus Cousins. I don't know who they have running. Who do they have running the 3?
They got PJ Tucker out there. They've been playing
PJ Tucker, yeah. I mean, that's
Gordon
a solid lineup. Like, Eric Gordon. I mean, that's a solid lineup. That's not like really – I mean, that's like a playoff contending team. I mean, they're not going to get anywhere, but – and then, for the future – they're set. I mean, they've got 8 first-round picks. Odds are with 8 first-round picks, you're bound to get something good, bound to get probably, 1 or 2 really good players out of that. So, I mean, I think
that was my big wonder is that NBA is just hard, man. Whenever you have an all-star or Hall of Famer, you just don't replace them in the draft. It's like this amazing combination of timing and luck. And I know OKC, when they got rid of Harden, they got a huge cash haul for it. It seemed like such a smart move because Harden still had a year left. They had a chance to win a championship. They got rid of him, got all these first-round picks, but they didn't really turn it into anything.
Yeah.
So, it's almost like you had to suck it up and just pay the luxury tax and keep, Westbrook, Durant, Harden together to give yourself a chance at winning a ring for 2 years or 3 years. And they thought they could do it in the draft, and they did it. And so many times I see trades like that. Like Philadelphia for the longest time was in this perennial like rebuilding mode. Everybody they drafted didn't work out. Then they traded them until they finally hit with like Embiid and then paired them up with Simmons. But I don't know. It's tough. We won't know if Houston won until 5 years later when you say, oh, yeah, they got 2 All-Stars out of that one,
Yeah.
I'm going to say that the 76ers lost this trade because they don't have James Harden.
No, they look great.
Because
the Sixers could have done with Harden, but honestly, I think they're doing really well as is. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
I mean, you got to go for it. This is a once-in-a-generation type of guy, and you're going to pair him with Joel Embiid. For me, that's the best duo in the NBA right there. Second best duo in the NBA behind LeBron and Anthony Davis, but a pretty close second. Not because they're the two best players.
You think that Harden and Embiid would be better than KD and Kyrie?
Well, if
Kyrie's actually playing,
it would. They just fit.
Because James Harden is better than Kyrie, but KD is better than all of them. And it's not really that close.
That is true. I mean, I just think they have such a great fit. They would fit so well together. That pick and roll would be unstoppable. Harden loves the big men. And you have to double Embiid. You're going to get it to Seth Curry out on the wing, or you're going to get it to Harden. I mean,
I don't know, but I guess because Embiid is a better shooter than some of the other big guys Harden's have. But Harden's big guys kind of go to die when he plays with them, like traditional big men. I know Embiid's a little different because he can shoot like 2-3 trey a game, but I think that would actually stifle his game a bit to have Harden hogging the ball, taking up all these shots versus now he's the focal point. And I always think in the playoffs, you really build on defense. Every playoff team will have 2 superstars. Some have 3 superstars, but who are those other players? And Harden doesn't offer defense to Philly.
I just think – sorry.
Yeah. No, you're fine. I mean, but like now I think you have Tobias Harris, you have Seth Curry, you have Shake Milton, who had an awesome game last night. Like, they, to me, like are more complete than getting rid of these pieces to get one Harden that is going to do what you're already doing, scoring points.
Yeah, I just think that's where I want to see him end up personally. Now, we're going to look into our crystal ball here. I think we've talked enough about that crazy trade. We'll probably be talking about it again in the next couple of episodes just because of the massive implications from that deal. So we're going to look into our crystal balls here. In 10 to 15 years, when you talk about James Harden, are we talking about James Harden, the trade that got him to Houston, or the trade that got him to Brooklyn? Which one will go down as the James Harden trade?
This hinges so much on if the Nets win a chip.
Yeah.
If the Nets win a chip, it's definitely the latter. But if they don't,
I don't know, because the Nets, the Rockets trading for Harden is like the stepping stone to KD going to Golden State, essentially. I mean,
yeah, but I mean, in and of itself, like if you talk about, you never know how certain events affect other events. You never know without X player doing Y, you never would have seen the Golden State win championships or whatever. But just in and of themselves, I'd say if Harden wins a chip with the Nets, we'll be talking about that one. But outside of that, if he doesn't win something, I mean, he'll go down as, Hall of Famer, multiple time scoring champ, and a former MVP. All of that happened in Houston. So, I mean, if he doesn't become a champion, then I definitely, or win another MVP or something, I think we'll be talking about the OKC Houston trade.
And Coach Z?
Yeah, I mean, I think you hit it perfectly. It's really what happens in Brooklyn. Ultimately, your goal is to win that chip. So if he can get the championship, that would be, probably more memorable, more important. I don't know though. yeah, I'm not sure.
It's a hard question to answer right now. We don't know.
Yeah, we have no way of knowing yet.
I just wonder what this big three looks like, because I don't know if you remember, Brooklyn tried to do this before with Kevin Garnett
Pierce,
and
KG,
Paul Pierce. They tried to, that was the old big three. They were the big three when they went to Boston,
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm not saying any of these players are past their prime, but there's fierce competition in the league, and if you're 1 or 2 years removed, do you have a legit shot anymore? And Harden looks so out of shape.
I think he'll get back into it once he's playing with a team he actually wants to play for.
But see, that to me is the ultimate red flag. Once you're playing with a team that you want to play for, I don't know. I just think that you should love basketball. You should give it your all. You should play. And if there's ever this motivation that you need that's not coming internally, that's on you. And
yeah, that's the thing with guys like Harden and Kyrie as well. And even Andre Iguodala did this, which I thought was really surprising because he doesn't strike me as that type of player. There are certain guys who just won't play for a certain team. That's the risk you take coming in the league. You never know what team you're gonna. I don't know, but
but he also had 80 years of NBA service, Iguodala, before he ever made a move
that's
like
true.
that.
He
It's kind of hey, am I going to
to
retire and go to TV broadcasting, or I'm going to play with a contender? Because I'm not going to sit through a rebuilding year, and I'm 108 years old.
Yeah, that's the thing that I can at least appreciate about guys like Westbrook, and I am not a Westbrook fan.
Me either.
I really as a player and with some of his off-court antics, on the court antics that don't exactly pertain to basketball, I don't like Russell Westbrook, but you got to at least give it to him. I mean, the man bricks 27 shots a night, but at least he's out there trying with every team he's on. He always puts in the effort, and I can at least imagine if guys like Kyrie and Harden had that mentality. I mean, they'd be MVP candidates every year.
Yep.
And Brooklyn would really get somewhere like that. I think KD's like that as well.
Yeah, and that's who said that? I think Shaq said it about KD. It's just say what you want about him, but Stephen A. Smith, his priority is basketball. It doesn't matter. And you see him. He's fighting out there all alone. That third quarter run, Swanee, you talked about. There's no Kyrie. You could be upset and you could be mad that people aren't with you, but he's playing basketball, whether it's at a public park or it's in an NBA stadium. He'll always love basketball and play it. So,
and I'll look into my crystal ball some more. I could just see Kyrie Irving at the end of this year or in the end of a couple of years saying he's going to retire retiring. And then
didn't he say he wants to retire in his early to mid 30s?
That's Kevin Durant said that, but he said he was really drunk when he said that. So
okay, so he gets a pass.
Yeah.
So, but I could see Kyrie retiring, and then a video comes out on the internet of Kyrie, no one hears from him for a couple of months. Then a video comes out of Kyrie playing basketball in some desert with sandals on, and people are like, "Oh, look, Kyrie still got it. He still loves the game." And then 2 years later, Kyrie comes back into the NBA. I don't know why. I just see that happening.
As a contender. He'll only go to a contender.
Uncle Drew.
Yeah, he'll come back as Uncle Drew. All right, moving into our into the future one last time. Who is the next big star to be traded?
Does Draymond Green qualify as a big star?
No. Let me answer
This
that
is not
for you.
2016,
No.
Jack. We're looking forward, not to the
Well,
past.
I'm just saying some people. I don't consider him a big star, but some people, like people who are a little.
He's a star in his role. He's a star for his team, but
Yeah, I
he's
see
not
what
a
you say.
star.
2 years ago,
Like,
that would have been a big trade,
All right. Well, it'd
But
still be
now-
a big trade. I don't know.
yeah,
Next
the Warriors
big
are
star?
it's night and day when Draymond plays. Honestly, they look so good with him, and they look so bad without him.
Yeah, they looked bad last night.
Not
He was there.
really. They looked bad last night, and he was playing for them.
Yeah, exactly. They looked really bad last night. He was right in there looking just as bad as everybody.
I feel so bad for Steph Curry. I've never felt so bad for him. Now I know. I don't know. People were always saying that about LeBron, but at least LeBron's like one of the greatest players. I mean, not that Steph Curry isn't, but he's not like a contender for greatest of all time the way LeBron is.
Yeah.
Steph can't just carry it. I feel bad.
I mean, even when he does, it's like 40 points, 62 points. It's like they're fighting in the fourth quarter to win the game.
Yeah. It used to be like Steph would drop like 50 in 3/4 and then sit out the fourth, and the man probably could have had 70. But they're winning by now. It's like he drops 35 and then they lose by like 15 like they did last night.
Yeah, but all you need is Clay. That's it. Clay
Yeah.
25 points extra a game. It forces the defense they can't double team Steph every single play like they've done all season. It would just open up so much for everybody. That's going to be a dangerous team when Clay comes back.
I just think it's funny how so Kevin Durant got injured in the finals and he didn't play and they lost, and people were like, oh, see, they need Kevin Durant. And then the next season, Draymond Green is out, and they're like, they can't win without Draymond Green. He's the system.
Yeah.
We were wrong before. Then they can't win without Curry. It's like, I told you Curry's the system, and now Clay is injured and they're struggling. It's like, wow, we were wrong all along.
System.
But that's what I'm saying. Timing
Klay
and
Thompson
luck.
from the beginning.
Timing and luck. I mean, you just had a great draft to pick all those guys up, and they work really, really well together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because if you took Steph out of that equation, I know we haven't really had that where Clay was in Steph, but that team doesn't go to the finals. They don't win championships. You need all three of those pieces, and then of course Durant was icing on the cake. But that's crazy. Durant's hurt. They still made it to the finals. Durant wasn't there. They still won an NBA record game. So they had legit 4 great players, and then of course some really good role players too. But hey, let's talk trades. My bad. We doing trades?
Well, what you were saying kind of segued into what I was saying with Curry's 60. I could see Bradley Beal being traded. He's the only other guy to score 60 points this year. And
maybe Russell Westbrook.
He leads the league in scoring.
I say Beal or Westbrook.
3-8. I mean,
yeah.
If they don't turn it around, either Scott Brooks is going to get fired or he gets traded, or both. Second in the running would probably be Zach LaVine.
Yeah, because I think those are the two teams. Well, I don't think Chicago's underperforming, but I think the Wizards definitely are underperforming with what they thought they were going to do this season. So you would say maybe moving a Beal from the Wizards or Zach LaVine from the Bulls.
And whichever one of those two gets traded, I would bet that they get moved to Philadelphia, I think. I don't think Philadelphia. I think Philadelphia's got a big
such a solid roster.
Which is why they have some expendable pieces, which is why I think they're going to end up at the end of the year with a LaVine or a Beal or, I don't know, a different disgruntled star. I think
they could trade them for each other.
What?
Who's an expendable piece with Philly? Because it seems like they're working so well together.
I think Simmons has kind of looked expendable. He hasn't been great this year, and they've kind of just been carried by Embiid.
I don't think so. I mean, he's averaging like a triple-double. I mean, I don't know what your expectations are, but
the media told me he was the next LeBron. They told me he was the Fresh Prince.
No, we know that. We know he cannot shoot from distance. He's a facilitator first, but
well, it's kind of like what you were saying with Kyrie and Harden then. How has he not shown any desire to get better at that? Like, he shoots more now, but that's a red flag for him.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I'm not putting him in the upper echelon of superstar, but to say he's not having a good season, I disagree. He's having a monstrous season. Just the points aren't there. He's still an amazing defender. He gets so many boards for a guard, and he's averaging double-digit assists. I don't know.
I mean, I don't think the defense would nosedive without Embiid. They wouldn't be as good, obviously, but they would still be able to defend, even if they got a LaVine or a Beal. But, Jack, what do you think? And who do you think will be the next star to be traded?
I think it's got to be one of the three between Beal, Levine, and Westbrook. And I really hope it's Westbrook because people seem to have this strange notion to me that Westbrook is better than Bradley Beal. I really don't think he
No.
is. I'm going to be honest. I think Bradley Beal is better than Russell Westbrook because it's not about the stats, man. It's about who actually helps out a team more. And if it were just Bradley Beal on that team, or if it were just Westbrook, I think the Bradley Beal team would do better because he's efficient. Like, he's efficient. You can put him in any role.
Oh yeah, he's a shooter too. That's a commodity in the
Mhm.
NBA.
Yeah, whereas you never really know what you're getting with Westbrook. You don't know if he's going to drop like 40 one night and go off, or if he's going to score like 9 points on 3 of 12.
But I mean, Westbrook's the only one out of those two that has proven that he can take a team with a bunch of nobodies.
Oh, he got lucky. Well, it wasn't even
Carry them.
nobodies. He had Oladipo. He had Steven Adams.
Well, yeah, but
Yeah,
it's not
Paul
like he had all-star
George.
Oladipo or all-star.
No, he's talking about 16-17 season.
Oh, when he averaged that triple-double?
Yeah,
But then he leaves and Chris Paul does the same thing.
that's true.
You know, and Chris Paul actually, look at the Phoenix. They're third in the West right now.
Chris Paul
he's a winner. He's a winner.
Chris Paul's Thunder actually almost made it out of the first round. When they faced the Rockets, they took them 4-3. When 16-17, Westbrook's Thunder faced the Rockets, they lost in like 5 games.
Chris Paul is a poor man's Kyle Lowry.
I don't think so.
No, Chris Paul's better than Kyle Lowry.
I mean, in terms of three-pointers and points, Lowry. In terms of rebounds and assists, I think Chris Paul. And just leadership. If that's a quality, because, like DeAndre Ayton's having a pretty bad season in terms of what they thought. Booker's not scoring as many points. You have, but they're winning. Like, everyone's, and I think that's a big to do with Chris Paul and his presence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think we can call it there unless you guys have anything else to add. I think this video ran a little bit long, so hopefully the timestamp doesn't scare anybody. Remember to subscribe, like, comment. I thank you, Jack, for coming on, and Coach Z.
Of course.
We had to get a nice panel here to discuss one of the craziest moves ever in the NBA.
Of this year.
So far. So, again, thank you guys all for watching. I hope you enjoy. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, debate minutes.